All right, let's talk iPhones. We're going to dive into all the juicy leaks around Apple's next big release, the iPhone 17. But we're not stopping there. We're also going to look a little further down the road at the really radical changes that are rumored for 2026.
And, that really brings us to the big question for anyone thinking about upgrading. The iPhone 17 looks like a really solid step forward for sure, but the real revolution? That might be just one more year away. So, do you upgrade soon, or do you hold out for what's coming next? Let's break it all down.
Okay, so first things first. Let's talk about the near future. Based on some pretty solid leaks, here's what the iPhone 17 is actually bringing to the table. First up, let's talk about the engine of the whole device. I mean, yeah, every new iPhone gets faster, but the jump to this new A19 chip, it looks like it's going to be a pretty big deal, focusing on both raw speed and, just being smarter. Now, what's really interesting here is what it's built on, a third-generation 3-nanometer process. So what does that actually mean for you? Well, in simple terms, it means more power and better battery life. You've got a 6-core CPU for everyday stuff, a 5-core GPU for gaming and graphics, and a really beefy 16-core neural engine. This thing is being built for some serious on-device AI.
Okay, now this next one is a huge deal. Seriously, especially if you've been wanting those premium Pro features, but maybe you prefer the standard iPhone model. The display is getting a major upgrade.
So here's the big news. For the very first time, the regular base iPhone 17 is expected to get promotion. That means it gets that super smooth 120Hz refresh rate. If you ever used a Pro model, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Scrolling just feels incredibly fluid. You throw in the always-on display and the dynamic island, and wow, the standard iPhone 17 screen will finally feel truly Pro. Okay, so let's keep going and see how this plays out in another key area, the camera. It looks like Apple is finally giving the base model a massive photography boost, one that could really close the gap with the Pro line. The base iPhone 17 is rumored to jump to a 48-megapixel dual fusion camera. Now, this isn't just about taking bigger photos. That dual fusion part basically means it's designed to capture way more light and detail, so you're going to get sharper images and much better photos in the dark. Of course, the Pro model, it's still got the edge with its triple lens system, including that incredible 48-megapixel telephoto lens for zoom shots.
So beyond all the internal specs, what about the phone you're actually going to hold in your hand? Well, some interesting rumors are pointing to some design tweaks, and maybe even a brand new model joining the family.
We might actually see an ultra-thin iPhone 17 Air that takes the place of the Plus model, which would be a really fascinating change in strategy. And the Pro models? They could get a totally new look with a camera bar that stretches all the way across the back. So yeah, some cool changes, but it sounds like the overall redesign for the 17 is more of an evolution than a full-blown revolution.
Okay, so you might be thinking, if the base model is getting so many Pro features, what's the real reason to spend more? Let's put them side by side and see where the real differences are.
This table really makes it crystal clear, doesn't it? While the displays are pretty much on par now, the Pro will still probably have a more powerful A19 Pro chip. But the biggest difference, the real game changer, is still the camera system. If you want that high-quality optical zoom from a telephoto lens, the Pro is still going to be the only way to get it. Okay, the iPhone 17 sounds great. It's a solid, powerful upgrade, no doubt about it. But what if you're holding out for that next huge leap? For that, we got to look ahead to 2026, and that's where things get really adventurous. This has been the dream for years, right? A single, uninterrupted slab of glass. No notches, no islands, just screen. Well, in 2026, it might finally become a reality. The magic trick here is something called Under-Display Face ID. The idea is to hide all those complex cameras and sensors that power facial recognition underneath the pixels of the screen itself. If Apple can pull that off, they could finally get rid of any kind of cutout on the Pro models and deliver that seamless, all-screen experience we've all been waiting for. And believe me, that's just the tip of the iceberg. 2026 could be a landmark year. We're talking about Apple finally using its own modems for better connectivity, the long-rumored foldable iPhone maybe making its debut, and even wild design ideas like a transparent back panel. It's a vision for a truly next-generation device. But it's not just the hardware that could see a massive change. Apple might also be planning to shake up its most sacred tradition, the annual September iPhone launch. This timeline shows the potential new strategy. The high-end Pro models could launch in the fall of 2026, just like always. But the standard models, they might get pushed to the following spring. This would give each lineup its own moment in the spotlight and could completely change the rhythm of the entire phone industry. All right, let's bring it all home. We've laid everything out. On one hand, you've got the refined and really powerful iPhone 17. On the other, the potentially revolutionary devices of 2026. This brings us right back to that one crucial question. And here's the trade-off, really. The iPhone 17 is shaping up to be a very meaningful upgrade. It brings premium features to the standard model, and it's going to be a fantastic device. But the 2026 models, they could represent a truly transformative leap. A total redesign with game-changing tech and maybe even entirely new form factors.
There's a quote from one of the sources on this that just sums it all up perfectly. If you need an upgrade and you want a powerful, polished phone, the iPhone 17 looks like a fantastic choice. But if your current phone is doing okay and you're really hungry for something dramatically new, being patient and waiting for 2026 could pay off in a very, very big way.
So it really boils down to a choice between a great evolution and a potential revolution. One is a safe bet for a better experience pretty soon, and the other is a bit of a gamble on a completely new one later. So the only real question left is, what's your next move going to be? Thanks for tuning in.